stars tonight. Fields grow anew with the spring of life. In this sheath of truth will I wrap myself tight. The landscape, it goes for miles. The myths of old, they breathe in me life.
Oh, the next question comes from Shannon. I appreciate all the knowledge you present and the masses packaged neatly, always listing sources. My question is regarding the higher self. Do I share my higher self with another person, or can this generally happen? The answer is yeah, you do. Just in the same way that when you're an ordinary human being, you deeply affect. Deeply. I mean, if we took you out of time and space, the whole of reality would change. And if we took even what we would consider rather insignificant people out of the time-space continuum, reality would change. This has already been conceded by some very great minds, you see. That whole famous movie, It's a Wonderful Life, you know, Jimmy Stewart goes into that. What happens if a man is plucked out of space and time? Does anything really change? There's an old Star Trek episode that goes into that as well. It's a sort of staple of science fiction. So yeah, even as you progress, your higher self, so to speak, is going to be very impactful. Because remember, the higher self also comes into being from the lower self. All the things that you do as a person, all the interactions you have, it opens doors. Everything higher that we know sits on that which is lower. Now there are many gurus, there are many teachers who, maybe without even realizing it, so debunk lower forms of consciousness, lower ways of being, that they're actually sawing off the branch in which they're sitting. How can you debunk inauthentic modes when they are the very foundation of the authentic mode that comes later? So this is something to bear in mind, and often people in the Western world aren't bearing it in mind because they've been chewing down on some pretty, rubbishy theories from certain sages and all of that. The inauthentic life is always the shadow of the authentic life. The lower self is always the shadow of the higher self. They're not this, they're not to be disconnected. And so once the higher self is operating and speaking to you, you're in touch with it. A highly developed form of intuition is what it really is. It's opening these oracular doors within. Absolutely, you're still going to be a human being on this planet, intermingling and interacting with other people. A lot of those people may be relatively unawakened from where you are, but even by interacting with them, it's still going to have an impact. It's still going to show up on your inner, data board. And every aspect of our external life has implications for the inner life. They're articulated together very deeply. Whether or not you get into any kind of intimate connectivity with another person who you might think at that time is similar to you, well, that's a whole other matter. I tend to think that I'm not close to the idea that it can happen, but I don't look to it myself personally, because that can so easily become collectivism, in which people imagine that they're all on the same page. This has been going on since the 60s. People have been thinking like this, and not a single one of those so-called communities, I don't care where they are, up a palm tree in Hawaii, or up another palm tree in Australia, or anywhere in between. What has any commune ever done anywhere at any time for the world? There's the answer. Marvin, you're asking, perhaps the pain and suffering the world is going through is a way of giving us the opportunity to become great beings. Humans are capable of great acts of kindness and heinous crimes. Although men have fallen far, and how far we have fallen, you say, the chance is still there for each individual to raise up above the darkness that has been cultivated by our overlords, to dispel the darkness with the spirit of that individuality. So my question is, what should I be asking, Michael? Who am I searching? He says, I, who am searching high and low, I want to thank you deeply and from the essence of my being, thank you, I will never give up, never stop. I feel such depth. Perhaps the worst is over and now the time has come to clean up the mess. So yeah, the question there is that it's a process. We are bivalent beings. We are capable of great acts of kindness and goodness, and we're also capable of great evil. You know, and through the Path of the Fool series and all my work, I'll be exploring these constantly. I think that we got one way ahead right now is to, one of the things of the past that was particularly negative was wanting short-term, quick results. And this is in all areas of life. Even in your business life, this was the trend. In romantic life, that was the trend. In getting to the top in your particular field or sport, that was the trend. And unfortunately, it snuck into getting answers trend. Pushing some button, reading some spinner rack book, waiting for Eckhart Tolle or somebody to give you the formula, you know, this type of rubbish, right? So that the next phase of our evolution in this is to kind of re-envision ourselves like the way our forefathers did, which was more of the artisan, much more of the apprentice, in which I'm not just going to want it as I turn the next corner. I can see myself doing this for 10, 20 years. Can I get okay with the fact that this is going to take time? Whether I'm doing exercises, yoga, you know, martial arts, playing an instrument, seeking to read through books, find a calmness, find a stone to sit on, a big rock, and realize that you're that rock. It's not going to happen in 5 minutes. That was a trend. That was a thing that came and went. This is a fashion for most people. It's Discovery Channel bullshit, all right? Let's realize that in this process, we pace it out. I see into the future. I see myself still doing this in 30 years. Our culture is now losing that in this instant gratification situation. So we have to countermand that, and we have to counterbalance it by saying, well, you just rush on then, okay, I'll see us later. Circus is that way. I'll just wait here and feed the pigeons. Okay, I'm quite all right. And you set the tone and the pace for yourself. And it doesn't matter whether anybody else gets it or not. In fact, it's probably better that they don't. So you just carry on and you just, you know, leaf through your books and do your thing and you potter about. But you have your mentality now that, you know, you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life. It's not about, you know, wearing the t-shirt and being a big noise and rushing to some final revelation. It's a slow working out. It's a paced thing. You know, the greatest wine is the oldest. So be prepared to ferment. Card number 14, the temperance. You know, yeah, it goes in here, goes in there. Let's just keep spinning it up. You know, let's keep seeing what comes up. Throw another one in. Let's throw another piece in. Let's go for the long haul. That's needed. Because there is no instant enlightenment. There is no instant cleansing. There's no instant eureka moment. There are many moments of that, but they're still in a chain, everyone leading to the next. And so the more that you can get with that long journey through the forest, on the path, as opposed to racing down the freeway, you know, smashing into a wall at the end of it. We've been presented with that paradigm, and that paradigm is now kind of exhausted. So other people are going to fall off like flies and say, well, that didn't go anywhere. And the rest of us will just say, well, that's fine, you know, we're on the slow coach. We want to take the scenic route. You know, there's lots more to notice than just rushing forward madly in this process. And then Joel, you're asking, is it possible that we live in a fractal universe? Is this why we are like the gods, able to create and manifest reality with volition? Well, the answer is yes. We do live in a holographic universe, a fractal universe. This has been proven by the top mathematicians. There was a series of mathematicians before these guys came along who wanted to prove certainty, 4 or 5 of them, names I can't remember now. They all went mad, and 2 of them committed suicide. So after all these megalomaniacal attempts to prove certainty, they found out that there's no such thing. To their horror, they found out, no, it doesn't work like that. And simultaneously, quantum scientists were discovering that the further you get into looking at what you think is called matter, It actually looks more like mind or consciousness. So this tipped the boat completely, and they still haven't really recovered. But in discovering, through Mandelbrot and through all other people, the David Bohms of the world and what have you, they discovered the fractal universe, the holographic universe, and the central place that consciousness or the mind plays in all of that, because it's the spectator, but it's also the participator. That which is observing is the observed. The geometry that you're seeing in the sort of quantum universe is the geometry that the seer also has. He's part of it. He's made up of it. So I recommend, if you haven't read the holographic universe, you pick up that book, and if you're even more interested in the subject, pick up a book called The Big Bang Never Happened, which is based on the Swedish scientist Hans Alfvén. Very interesting book that goes into all of that. I'm not the expert, but certainly I recommend Nikola Tesla, Walter Russell. There's some fantastic interviews online. I've posted them on my social media pages of Walter Russell, the great Walter Russell, and his cosmologies. And several videos I put up on the whole Darwinian Einsteinian hoax. So on my Irish Origins website, there's a page called Evolution Hoax. Go there, that's important. And then there's other videos on YouTube based on the Einsteinian hoax as well. All very, very interesting information to get into.
My brother could use a little mercy now. He's a stranger to freedom. He's shackled to his fears and his doubts.
You see? So we've got, let's hold a mirror up to both sides and ask from the domestic to the corporate level, are women happy with the freedom that they got? Don't you know that the Illuminati periodically hands you a carrot in order to keep you from exploding? I don't know a woman today who knows that. They think that their newfound freedom and their so-called, modicum of a sexual and social freedom that they got, they're crying out, thinking it's a great thing. It was an award. It was a privilege, just like the driving license is a privilege, pal. They can take it away as fast as they can give it to you. Or they might give it to you for duplicitous reasons, so that now you go buck mad. They know that a person, like a third world country, that's been held under a third world status for years, the moment that you give it a few refrigerators and some Coca-Cola, just watch them go berserk. Well, it's the same on every level. Give a modicum of freedom to somebody who's been held down for centuries and watch them go apeshit. As what's happening. This is how things happen. Does that mean it's good? Does it mean that you're helping society, helping the world, helping civilization? Of course not. What you've become is a malignant version of femininity. You become a malignant version of masculinity. Today, the words masculine and feminine, just like the word virgin and many other words I deal with, these talismanic terms, is probably the most abused terms. How can you know what masculinity is when its mirror is malignant? How can you know what true femininity is when its mirror is malignant? So we have had homework to do. Both male and females today have to step out of the objective, from a studious point of view, step out objectively from the roles that they've inherited and start asking bigger questions about who they are on the canvas of greater life. Because all of our civilizations are crumbling. And man is responsible for that, and so is women. And both genders have to look into their psyche to find out what are the hidden aspects, what are they contributing to, what are they responsible for, what are they guilty of, and what should they be proud of. And in this work, which you could call psychological or whatever, I just call it spirit work. It's the work of spirit, to find out who and what you are on an existential level, and then after you find that out, move out, to the world. But this homework has to be done, because it'll be imbalanced if only one small group do it.
Every living thing could use a little mercy